Okay, the second thing we're going to talk about is pesticides. Now, the main culprit is glyphosate. This is the most used pesticide in the world, and it's associated with inflammatory diseases, neurological diseases, reproductive disorders, decreased testosterone, decreased gut health, and increased in estrogen. So how do we decide what to prioritize, what to spend our money on if we're broke? Do we have to buy everything organic? Well, let's go through a little tier list. The first thing you should definitely do is avoid the dirty dozen. You should buy all these organic. I added in tomatoes because those are pretty popular and they just didn't make the list. But with all these, organic is the way to go. Now, depending on the source, or if you don't use organic, you want to soak them in baking soda. So it's 1 teaspoon of baking soda for every 2 cups of water, and you throw everything in like a big bowl and you let it soak for 15 minutes. This gets all the pesticides off, and then you drain it in a colander because there's a bunch of residue, and then you dry it with a paper towel to get anything that's remaining. If you want to go even further with things like apples and maybe peaches, you could peel the outer layer, but you obviously can't peel a blueberry or something like that. So the tip here is when you start to make your food, have a big bowl, do the baking soda and let it rinse for 15 minutes. Throw everything into the same bowl. Where else can we find glyphosate? Again, any of those GMO things, they're usually GMO, so they can be glyphosate ready. This is the pesticide I was talking about earlier. So things like high fructose corn syrup, those super cheap potatoes you'll find at McDonald's or something, even cows fed corn and soy, because those are 2 of the most GMO sprayed crops. And again, there's some sneaky glyphosate offenders. The main one is anything oat based. You want to get glyphosate free oats or organic oats. With hummus, there's 5 times more glyphosate than in organic alternatives. But with oats, it gets crazy. Like an oat-based granola bar, oat-based cereal, this is what you usually feed your kids, 700 times more glyphosate. And then an oat-based snack bar has 320 times more glyphosate. Now you might be wondering, Anton, like what is an oat-based cereal? What is an oat-based granola bar? Here are the biggest culprits. The acceptable range is 160 parts per billion of glyphosate. Honey Nut Cheerios had 833 parts per billion. Anything Nature Valley bar also looked like it was way over the limit. And how common is this? Well, the CDC tested a bunch of kids and they found that 87% of them had glyphosate in their pee. But you know what the good news is? People who ate an all organic diet for just 6 days reduced the amount of glyphosate in their bodies by 70%. So the human body is miraculous at detoxing these things, but you have to stop the onslaught of toxins. Okay, so now we're gonna look at how to avoid the pesticides. The main thing you wanna do is buy organic. If you could afford everything, that's great. But if you can't, we're prioritizing the dirty dozen. These are all listed down here. We're also going to prioritize buying organic oats, grains, and nut products. These are also sprayed with pesticides a lot, especially oats. I don't have anything against oats, but make sure they're sprouted and glyphosate free. And then prioritize quality animal products. So anything that's grass-fed, wild-caught, pasture-raised, corn and soy free, you're looking for those types of things. And then you're prioritizing organic for these specific GMO foods because organic foods aren't GMO most of the time. You'd be buying organic corn, soy, canola. We're not even gonna worry about canola. Sugar beets, potatoes, papayas, milk, sugar, and grains. With sugar, it's mostly all these high fructose corn syrups you're looking at the ingredient list. Cane sugar specifically usually isn't GMO. And then you could do the baking soda cooking technique, and I would just get used to doing this, build a habit of putting everything in one singular bowl before you cook any big meals. So the steps here, 1 teaspoon of baking soda to 2 cups of water. You throw everything in there, let it soak for 15 minutes, rinse it, dry it with a paper towel, and then peel it. The peeling could seem a little overboard, and if you're doing organic, you probably don't need to, but if you're buying random apples, for example, you could definitely peel the skin. It won't be that hard. Maybe peaches as well, but I would just buy those both organic because they're on the dirty dozen list.